Don't hurt my love, my love, don't hurt my heart, my heart, don't hurt my love, my love, don't hurt my heart, my heart, don't hurt my love, my love, don't hurt my love, my love, don't hurt my heart, my heart, don't hurt my love, my love, don't hurt my heart, my heart, don't hurt my love, my love, don't hurt my love, my love, don't hurt my heart, my heart, don't hurt my love.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the High Level Play podcast, or the Playcast if you like. I am Decker49. Today is the 26th of July 2011 and we're going to record our podcast. I've got with me today
Kirkus Menurcus, as usual.
the man from the circus.
The man from the carnival.
Verily so. And what we're going to do, Kirk, is we are going to try and record this in a way which is completely unlike what happened on Sunday morning.
Right, without no drunk.
Yeah, I stumbled through the introduction like a husband in a lingerie shop trying to find his wife something nice for her fucking birthday. We won't be doing that again. Okay. How are you? How have things been?
Not too bad, mate. I've had a quiet week of gaming. I haven't been playing much new apart from Call of Juarez.
Call of Juicy.
Call Juarez, which I don't think we'll get into, but there you go. Juarez.
We can mention that you've played it, and then perhaps we can never mention it again. How does that sound?
That sounds good to me, mate. Definitely.
Okay. I've had the week off work. Been doing a little bit of gaming actually. Cleared up a couple of bits and pieces. Taking care of some other chores as well. So yeah, I've been okay. Something of a PSA now, my friends at Menurcus, a public service announcement for the people. I plan to have quite a significant and lengthy email section. However, there has been one flaw in that particular plan. Can you guess what it is?
Nope.
We haven't got any fucking emails. Come on, people. Get your fingers out. Get typing. highlevelplay@gmail.com. Send us some emails. Tell you what, first one gets a prize. Kirk, you own your own house, don't you?
No, they can have a copy of Deadly Premonition.
You can have a copy of Deadly Premonition with spit stains in it and claw marks. Been rubbed on the arse of a Great Dane. So people out there, come on, you're listening. I can see the download numbers, so I know there's some people listening. Hit us up, send us some links to some interesting stuff around the internet, some interesting gaming related stuff, and let's make a nice segment out of it.
Sorry, mate, go on.
Go on, no, you go.
I was just saying, if anyone's got anything to add to our podcast, just go ahead and give us maybe any advice or anything you think we should be including in it.
I will be accepting no advice whatsoever. How I ever accepting cash donations. Okay, you can make those PayPal checks out to Decker49, and I'll happily receive those.
That sounds good. When
Kirk figures out his PayPal account, and you can get them to him as well. How does that sound, Kirk?
What is PayPal?
Papali.
Joke.
www full stop papali full stop comb. All right. Anyway, all right. Let's just get on with the news. See you in a second. Hello, welcome back we've got our news section here. Our first piece of news is one that's close to my heart, at least, certainly being a fan of horror films throughout the 80s. And that is that Freddy Kreuger, the man with the claw hands, has actually turned up in Mortal Kombat as a DLC character, which I think is just a bit crazy. What do you think, Kirk?
I think that's awesome, man. One of the most gruesome characters in the 80s horror films.
It's so out of left field, though. Like,
Yeah,
although having had a look at the trailer, it works okay. It looks pretty sweet.
it makes sense, though, doesn't it? I mean, the guy, he's got his own weapons, doesn't need to bring anything out, a sword or anything. He's got them there ready to slice one to bits.
And they've come up with all these little trademark little moves there, like is the kind of Jaws claw coming out the floor and bits and pieces like that. I think there's one move where he tells someone to shush just before he
Yeah, cool.
stabs them to bits with his claws.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm going to check it out at some point. I'm going to wait until it comes down in price a little bit actually first, and I'll have a look at it.
Sounds good, man. Can you think of any other characters from the 80s which you think would be cool on Mortal
Well,
Kombat?
this is the interesting thing about the internet, isn't it? I had a poke around at a few sites, at a few news stories and stuff like that, and it looks like all the game outlets now are running their sort of best 5 80s horror characters. You're getting Jason Voorhees and the like, all of those guys.
Chucky the doll. Can you imagine that in Mortal
I
Kombat?
can't imagine that actually. How would that work?
I don't know.
It
I'm
would
trying
just
to think.
bite you on your kneecaps, something like that.
Possibly, yeah. It'll just stab you in the knee or something. Yeah,
Mhm. I'd still like to see it. They got Yoda in Soul Calibur, so there's no
true.
reason that you can't get Chucky in.
That's what that was. Yeah, true. That's his small character. One he had to jump to hit you in the
You
face.
have to jump all the time like a little pretzel.
Sounds good.
Okay, so yeah, I'll be checking that out at some point.
Definitely.
From one grisly piece of news to another, Kirk, why don't you tell us a little bit about the situation in Australia at the moment?
Well, apparently they're gonna make it not as strict, like, because the Australian laws over there are notorious for being, well, watering games down. They did it with lots of games, Left 4 Dead, Grand Theft Auto. I think they even banned Mortal Kombat over there. So
Yeah,
apparently
go on.
they're just gonna try and relax it a bit.
It sounds just
Good
like
news.
them. I think at the moment what they have is they've only got a classification system for video games that goes up to the age of 15.
Mm.
So technically, if a game ranks at something over 15, they're not actually allowed to sell it in the current system.
Yeah.
And they're proposing a new system, aren't they?
Because when I was over there, you had M ratings for obviously 18 plus games over there, but they never really had Peg. What do we have here? Peggy.
Yeah, we've got Peggy over here. I think our certification we look after ourselves in the
Right.
UK. We developed our own one,
Get you.
which works fairly well.
Yeah, it does definitely. But it's good news for the Australian gamers, definitely, because they won't be missing out. Because they've missed out quite a bit for
Yeah,
things like
they've had to add quite a lot of stuff chopped up, haven't they? And
they have.
it's a bit crap, really. And the
Definitely.
games are actually more expensive out there, but that's probably an entirely different story altogether.
Oh man, I can tell you firsthand when I was there, the prices of games there, and even the second-hand games. I feel so sorry for the guys over there, man.
Oh, it's horrible. What have they got? They got the Australian dollar, don't they?
They do indeed, and like everything else over there, everything's just absolutely expensive. But
Did you
yeah,
check out any game shops while you were
I
over?
did actually. Yeah, I went. That's what sort of like. That's why I'm saying. I went to like a game over there. I can't remember what it was called, but it was even the second-hand pre-owned games. They were going for like 35 quid,
Oh,
and that's for like old games. Do you know what I mean? Like Soul Calibur or Tekken.
that's
Just
cr
they were
that's
honestly
crazy talk, mate. I don't know
crazy.
what's going on there.
But they definitely love the games over there. Definitely.
Well, it's good news all round, actually. About time they came back into like the 21st century. Do you know what I mean?
Because I seem to remember them doing the same over here with Mortal. Remember when Mortal Kombat 3 came out?
Did they cut it? I don't remember them doing that.
They tried banning it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They
Yeah,
tried banning
there's
it.
been a couple of instances of that, don't they? They try and ban
Yeah.
everything.
And there's been a few commercials and ads and things that they've had to ban over the years, but yeah, it's good news all around that, like you say.
So who were you staying with when you were over there?
I went over just the beginning of this year for 2 months. I stayed with my cousin over in Australia, and I should have been spending a lot more time in the sun, but luckily for me, my cousin Sam, he had the Xbox on the PS3, so I was
Spoilt for choice.
spoiled for choice, man. I had Uncharted on one, and I had my Gears on the other, so I was laughing. It was
Oh.
probably
Flicking between the two.
flicking between the two, and I should have been on the beach, but never mind.
If you're anything like me, Kirk, more than about 10 minutes of the sun and you go red and start peeling.
Definitely, mate.
That's all for the best.
That's it, definitely.
All right. Well, do you want to give your relative a little shout?
Yeah, this is going out to Sam. Hope he's listening, man.
Sam, make sure you're listening and your
Sambo.
friends.
Yeah. Get your mates involved as well, man.
That's the first time you said that, Kirk.
Yeah, well,
We'll have that conversation another time, perhaps. Oh, anything else you want to say about the Australian classification system? Congratulations, Australians, I guess.
Yeah, that's just good news, that is, man. What do you think?
Yeah, it's overdue. It's about time. There's a couple of countries who are still a little bit peculiar. Germany and there's some other European countries as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. Generally speaking, I don't think anything should be outright censored artistically unless it's extremely exploitive. But then on the flip side, you've got tragedies which happen, which is the one which happened quite recently, and video games are always kind of pulled into the mix. Do you know what I mean?
And we got the age-old question: does violent video games make people become violent in real life?
Yeah.
Something we've probably discuss in the future, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we can touch upon that. I mean, I do have some strong views about it. Although I can kind of see where people are coming from. But maybe we'll discuss that next week.
Possibly, yeah. We'll do
Should we
that.
put that on the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. So well done, Australia. You join us. You're joining us. I look forward to seeing you on YouTube.
Definitely.
Cruising past my channel, I think.
I don't think so.
99 subscribers now, mate.
Sounds good to me, mate. Sounds good. We're building them up weekly.
Exactly.
Very weekly.
All right. 1 week. But this time in 20 years, we'll be sorted, mate. We'll be completely sorted.
Definitely, mate. Definitely.
All right. So we're all done with Australia.
I think so.
All right. Cool. So the Australians will probably be quite pleased to hear that the Resident Evil 4 HD remake, which is going to come out, will hit their shores, hopefully, completely uncut. You played the Resident Evil 4 originally, didn't you, Kirk? And Code Veronica, actually.
I played Code Veronica on the Dreamcast, and I played the Resident Evil 4, which was an epic game on the GameCube.
So both of those titles are going to get their HD skins, the HD remakes, as it were, and then they're going to be dropped in the US in September, and probably September, October in the UK. Excited?
I am quite excited, definitely. I mean, I love the first two, and it'll be cool. Can't wait for it. Do you reckon it'll be was it 1,200 gamer points for that, or 800?
I don't know. I'm just looking at the story here, which is on joystick.com. So thank you, Joystick, and it's not entirely clear.
It's gonna be.
Do you know what? I'm not entirely overblown by this whole thing. Actually, I found through looking at a couple of XBLA games which do get the high definition treatment.
Yeah.
They polish up a little bit, but they still don't look great. Do you know what I mean? They improve the textures, but you can polish a turd as much as you want. It still looks like a turd.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit shinier. It looks like so it'll be retail. Both titles will be available at your local brick and mortar and on Xbox Live Games on Demand and the equivalent on PlayStation as well. So
it'll be like 20 odd quid, won't it?
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure. Will both of them be on the same disc, do you think?
I probably should. I should have thought so. If they are like old games, they should be able to fit on one disc, surely. I mean, they have got a HD makeup, but.
I can't imagine that would increase the size of the games too much if you're going to be able to download them.
No. So what did you think of the original titles? Did you like them?
I thought Resident Evil 4 had some brilliant moments in it. Most notably the one where the cabin out in the woods gets stormed by the zombies.
Oh, brilliant that was.
But I didn't think it was as good as people said it was, and maybe I just didn't have the appreciation for the game that I needed to have, because
Or the skills.
fuck you. I've always struggled with the Resident Evil control system, and obviously Resident Evil 4 is a lot tighter, but it's still a little bit clumsy for me. Do you know what I mean?
But if you think, though, the Resident Evil 4, the camera over the shoulder more or less revolutionised third-person shooters.
Oh, it did for sure. It did for sure.
Because most games are using that scenario now, aren't they? Definitely.
Most of them are, and to great effect. You know, Gears is doing it. We just talked about Shadows of the Dam last week, which was
That was
obviously
just carbon copy, wasn't it? Really?
yeah. Well,
Of Resident Evil 4.
one of the main dudes who did Resident Evil 4 was actually on that project, so he must have literally just pulled that stuff across.
Definitely.
Well, maybe I'll let you have a play of it, and then you can tell me what you think. I'm not completely set on this, so I think
Mind you, probably my favourite Resident Evils was the first one. I loved that to death. I couldn't wait for it to come out. When it first came out, it was just something totally new and fresh, and that's what I was just hoping for, you know, to make a new title like Resident Evil 6 or something.
Yeah. Well, there's speculation that Resident Evil 6 is going to be announced at some point in the near future. So,
but there's like there's another one as well coming out. What's it called? Is it based after the first two, isn't it?
They've got the Mercenaries, haven't they? Resident Evil Mercenaries, which I think is supposed to be a 4-player co-op. So, similar to Left 4 Dead, perhaps, in the sense that there's 4 people running around, sort of blasting zombies, if you like. So,
sounds cool.
Yeah, it should be okay.
Give that a blast.
Yeah, I kind of lost my way with Resident Evil, so I will let you give me the full lowdown on all the brain eating.
Definitely, mate.
I know you are a bit of aficionado for eating brains, my man.
Nutritious and delicious.
Nutritious and delicious. Can't beat it. All right, well, that's Resident Evil. That will be with us shortly in September, and Kirk will give it a play and let you know what he thinks.
I'll tell you what all I can.
All right, since we're talking about finances, Kirk, I would like to call to your attention an interesting little story that I stumbled across on VG247.com. Thank you, VG247.com. And it's a proclamation, an assertion that has been made by EA Sports Senior Vice President Andrew Wilson. And Andrew Wilson is of the opinion that there will be a time somewhere at some point in the future, he says somewhat mystically, where subscriptions are introduced. How do you feel about that as an idea, Kirk?
We more or less brushed on this topic last week, didn't we?
We did. This is a little bit of a continuation on a Uplay Passport story from last week, I think.
Looks like you might be right again, because if, like he's saying, if music and video and movies and everything else is doing the same thing, I think the games might be going down the same path, like Microsoft announced as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, I'll read out some of the text here because it's actually quite amusing. But just giving you an idea of how I feel about it, basically. I think, you know, EA Sports is probably slightly different in terms of subscriptions to most other projects out there, apart from maybe things like you know, Call of Duty and Bungie, which have, you know, around the game they have this massive infrastructure, and EA Sports games are kind of the same, but they're a little bit different in the sense that all the EA franchises kind of refresh once a year.
That's right, so, yeah.
You know, you have Madden 11, Madden 12, Madden 13, Madden 14.
FIFA.
Exactly, FIFA, the same thing. And, you know, I'm not really a sports game fan, but, you know, I don't mind having a dabble now and then. And what I find interesting is what EA have started doing is they've started forcing us as consumers into buying the next year's edition by turning off the online for the old one after a certain amount of time. Because, you know, I'm a man who likes saving money, so I'd be quite happy playing, you know, let's say FIFA 2009 for 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
See, that's bullshit, because like my brother, he's a big fan of FIFA, and for instance, he preferred 2011's version to the last one, sorry. And if that's the case, where they're going to cut off the server after a certain period of time just so that you have to buy the next copy, I think that's quite bad, really.
Well, that's what they're doing at the moment. But this, you know, what he's suggesting in this story is something a little bit different, I guess. He's saying that Potentially, you're not even, if we, all right, let me read some of this and I'll speculate on what I think it is. So this is a quote from the Senior Vice President Andrew Wilson. If we look at what consumers have pushed other industries for, if we look at what consumers forced the music industry to provide, if we look at what consumers have driven as a result of television and movie subscription, if you look at us, he says, somewhat laboringly, there's absolutely a time somewhere at some point in the future, once again, very, very vague, where the consumers say, hey, EA, this is how we want to interact with you. We want to give you a monthly or annual subscription, and we want access to everything you make. So Mr. Wilson there has quite an interesting opinion on what his consumers want from him. They get to drive the time and place for it. And a lot of it is technology dependent, but absolutely we can see a future where that might be the way to deliver games. Wilson said the latest addition to the EAS brand, a new studio in Oxon? You don't have
Austin.
studios in Oxon because they are a type of animal which pull plows. Austin, however, is a place, and it's in Texas where the Cowboys live. A brand new studio in Austin, Texas will help to bring reality that vision, adding that one of the things we're driving is EA Sports as a service. That last quote there was from Emperor Bowie. He added, it's less about the generation and more about the internet infrastructure. So as soon as he's finished building the next Death Star, he's going to sort the internet out. What do you think?
I think it's a bit silly, mate.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's asking people to subscribe is just another way of getting more money from us, even though we're paying enough for the games. But it's just a way of just getting us on a leash, in it, making sure we can't stray, if you like.
Well, I think what they're doing, Kirk, is they're looking to the right, just past the pole where Apple's dancing so lusciously, and they can see the world of Warcraft, and they can't spend money quick enough. That's they're making it so so quickly. They can't actually spend the money quick enough. And they're selling in-game items like things like mounts, something you can climb on to fly for like $50 a piece, sometimes even more than that. So there is money to be made there, and
Definitely.
I think we will be heading this direction.
Possibly, mate.
Not sure that I'm happy with it, but time will tell. If the product is packaged in a way that makes sense, then people will go for it.
I think so, but there has to be quality.
See, I couldn't really give a shit about EA Sports, to be honest.
Well,
but look, answer me this question: what if someone tried to do this to Gears of War 4, Kirk?
And then I wouldn't be too pleased. Mind you, I probably would still go and subscribe, even though I wouldn't be pleased about it. I probably would, because
you never know. You might be pleasantly surprised. They might invest that money in putting new content on there all the time.
Possibly.
Which will be quite difficult for you because it takes you about a year to learn each map to start with. What if they were putting a map on there every 3 months? You'd be fucked.
Okay, Mr. Kill to Death ratio.
I'm 2 dog. Remember that. I'm 2 deep.
Too deep. Yeah.
2 deep. My KD. There's not even mathematical numbers which can articulate my KD. Not even the shapes from Geometry Wars or Child of Eden could communicate to you how crazy my KD is, my kill death ratio. If you want, you can call me 2KD, 2K dog.
I call you
Killer dog.
Killer dog. That
Killer
sounds
God.
like okay.
Yeah. And you have to spell dog DAWG. Dog.
Okay, 2D dog.
2D dog. 2KD.
2KD. Sounds good to me,
2KD.
mate.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
You're rhyming. All right, I think we've beat that story. Well, I don't think we've beat it into the ground, but I think once the Emperor came into play, it kind of went off the rails. Emperor Bowie, fresh off his new tour, promoting his new albums. You Want to Be a Stormtrooper. That's his new album. Taking it to all the worlds where young, impressionable men want to fight for their country. All right. With that said, let's move on to our next story. All right, and from one segment that went completely off the rails there to another, Neil Berger hits restart on the Uncharted film. Now, Kirk, were you aware that they were planning to make a film of the Uncharted game of Nathan Drake?
To be perfectly honest with you, mate, I wasn't. I heard that they were going to make Halo, but that fell through, and it's the first I've heard about Uncharted.
Okay, I think you're probably in a position where ignorance was bliss there, because from what we had heard about the project, which is just being scrapped and rebooted now, we were actually becoming quite alarmed. Um,
Right.
if you if you had to cast, who do you think could do Nathan Drake?
Nathan Drake.
Yeah, who do you think would be a good actor? I mean, considering he's charismatic, he's witty, he's quippy. Would anyone jump out at you as someone who
I
could?
reckon that Farrell fella, that Colin Farrell, that Irish fella.
Yeah, Colin Farrell, he wouldn't be bad if he could keep that Irish accent of his in check,
Keep it away.
which he doesn't seem to be able to do. Actually, I just watched the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, and he couldn't keep it under control.
Couldn't he?
One bit. It kept slipping out around the
It
edges.
must be difficult though.
It must be. It must be. You'd think though, with voice coaching and 4 million, 4 to 10 million in wages, you'd be able to get that sorted. But I'm not going to cast any more, any bad light on the man. So yeah, Colin Farrell could probably do it. Anyone else?
God,
Do you think George Clooney's maybe a bit too old?
I think so.
Yeah. Christian Bale? Any leeway there?
Doesn't seem like an action guy though. Did Batman? He
Yeah.
doesn't seem like a guy like an Indiana Jones figure, does he?
Um.
Like Harrison Ford was.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just flip it on its head. Who do you think would not be good for the role? Anyone
Um,
jump out at you? I've got a few. Keanu Reeves is top of my list for people who wouldn't be good for it.
yeah.
Just thinking about people who are the complete opposite of all of the attributes and traits that Nathan Drake has as a character.
Oh, I can't think.
Shall I put you out of your misery?
Yeah, put me out my misery,
I'll
mate.
put you out of your misery and tell you who they cast as Nathan Drake. Mind,
Go on.
Mark Wahlberg. Marky Mark.
Marky Mark. Sounds
Marky Mark is Nathan Drake.
fair dues.
No, I don't like that, and I'm actually pretty pleased that I'm pretty pleased that they've scrapped the project in that current format. It was going to be directed by a guy called David O. Russell, and he turned the internet upside down when he said, yeah, do you know what? Drake he's kind of cool by himself, but wouldn't it be better if he had his wife and kids with him? And it was a story about a family of art thieves, like a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they traveled the world stealing stuff. And the internet just went, huh?
They did something similar, like was it The Mummy, where he had his wife and his kid in that as well?
Yeah. It's not. Anyway, it's all been scrapped, and they've got this new guy on board, director Neil Berger. He said that he's rewriting the script from scratch, so there's not going to be any funny kids running around doing any crazy bullshit. And he's thinking about casting that guy from Limitless, Bradley Cooper. He was in the A-Team as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, perhaps casting him, which I can see. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I can see that happening.
Do you think it'll be like very true to the game, or it'll be like every other shitty game to movie film that's ever been released?
I don't
It's got nothing to do with the game.
Yeah, I don't see why you can't get a good action movie out of Uncharted. I mean, it's cinematic enough in its own presentation for there to be, a lot of fertile ground there. The script's clever. Nathan Drake is a very, very witty character. So, I could see that happening. The way that I tend to think about it is, when I think of games, I think, okay, could you take the cutscenes and could I take excerpts of the gameplay and actually take that game, so take Uncharted 2 and make an hour and a half of footage from the game that I put on a screen that will tell a story? And I think the answer to that question is probably yes.
Yeah.
If you just chopped out a lot of the repetitive gunplay, which is the meat and bones of the game, but then the game's 18 hours long or whatever it is, I think you could very easily shorten Uncharted 2 down to about an hour and a half of the cinematics and the, the cut scenes and him jumping across things and over things and buildings falling down with helicopters around it, and you probably have quite a good film.
What an epic game it was, though.
Yeah.
One of my favourite games.
It's one of, I think it's one of the best games of the generation, actually, of a
Definitely.
particular generation.
But I must confess, I haven't played the first one.
I played the second one and went back to the first one, and unfortunately, it doesn't. It's still a good game, but it's not the second one by any way, shape, or form. So
do you think the third one was gonna be as good, if
I
not
think the
better?
third one is going to be exceptionally good. I've read a lot of the articles about it and some of the technology that they're using and stuff like that, and it's going to be awesome. Well, okay, so while we're just tangenting on the third one here, I did read quite an interesting article, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about their specific choice not to use the motion capture technology that LA1 used for the facial recognition.
Right.
So they made a concerted choice not to do that. And the reason they said that is because the way they currently make these Uncharted games, they actually have all of the voice actors on the set and they block it out. They go through the scene.
Right.
And for that reason, they kind of have the choice of a number of performances and they can stitch them together. Do you know what I mean? They can take a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and you don't lock yourself into one take, as it were.
Bit like our podcasts.
A bit like our podcasts, exactly, mate. I spend every week just editing out dozens and dozens of minutes of your awesomeness so that I can not look like a complete turd. I'm like, we need to be on a level, and I can't let your charm overshine me.
You're only human, mate.
Yeah, I'm only human, Jesus Christ. If that bulge in your trouser leg is anything to go by, mate, you're a superhuman. Yeah, I find that quite an interesting little tidbit about the Uncharted 3, an instance where they've chosen not to take the most up-to-date technology,
which is cool.
Yeah,
I think, because I think it'd be pigeonholed if it did, because it'd be more like, oh, you should see the face recognition instead. I think it'd take the focus off the action.
Well, I think one of the things about Uncharted as well is a lot of it does come down to, like I said, the cinematics and how Drake moves. And one of the downsides of that motion capture technology, which is used in L.A. Noire, is your face has to be completely still. So I haven't played the game, you have. Perhaps you can give me your opinion on this, but I did read a lot of impressions where people said that they found it a little bit disconcerting, that the face was like super realistic and then the body looked like fucking someone doing robot dancing.
It did, because often you'd see that particular point when like they're moving quite fast and like the body does look like a robot, but the face is just doesn't match the body, like you say.
Yeah, that's no good.
No.
And they did do a little bit of stitching together as well. I think we touched on this previously because he'd be interrogating them and he'd be going, "So, where's your husband then?" And the person would go, "I don't know." And you could choose an option like pursue investigation. Where's your fucking husband? Which kind of seemed a little bit random in the context of the interview, but a good game nonetheless. I hear.
Yeah,
I certainly will pick it up at some point.
Good.
So.
Worth play.
Unfortunately, we've lost a genius of Mark Wahlberg. Marky Mark has.
To be fair, I think I might be a little bit too early in saying this. I think it's going to be fail. Because every single film from game turned to film has been a fail.
There's got to be a good one in there.
Can you think of one particular decent game that's been turned into a film?
You put me on the spot here. Let me have a think.
I can think of one. Which was okay.
Go on, you hit me while I have a think about this.
I thought Mortal Kombat 1 was alright.
Mortal Kombat 1 was okay. Street Fighter was shit. All of those, Alone in the Dark was shit. Anything made by you or Bowl was shit.
Silent Hill was okay.
Oh yeah, it wasn't that great, was it?
Ish.
It wasn't that great.
But I must say, Street Fighter the manga version was absolutely epic.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
I loved that.
You have the opportunity to get it right with anime, don't you?
Yes.
I'm going to come back to you on this. Actually, I think maybe there will be a good one in there somewhere. They've been talking about making a film adaptation of Asteroids.
No.
Yes.
I mean,
what's the story? Like, what's going on there?
Pew pew. That's all there is to it, man.
Exactly. That's gonna be genius. Asteroids will be genius.
Oh no.
All right.
What about Doom? I've never seen that film.
No, I haven't either. I mean, I like The Rock. I like watching The Rock in films purely for like from a
So,
tongue-in-cheek perspective.
oh,
Although I still do say that you need to watch Southland Tales. We had a conversation about this. You haven't seen that, have you?
South,
Southland Tales.
Southland Tale. No, I haven't seen
It
that.
was
No.
by the guy who made Donnie Darko, Richard Kelly, and it was his next film after Donnie Darko.
Right.
And it's got The Rock and Sarah Michelle Gellar in it.
I do remember you saying so now.
And
I do.
it is epic. In that film, Christopher Lambert, the Highlander, is driving around in an ice cream truck full of weaponry.
I thought that was Mulholland Drive. That
For
film.
no, for no reason. It's never explained why Christopher Lambert, the fucking Highlander, there can be only one, is driving around in an ice cream van full of rocket launchers. Like, okay.
Sounds like a scene from Saints Row.
And at the end of the game, he steals a cash point out of the wall with his. He ties it with a chain, and oh god! And then the ice cream van floats in the sky. You need to see this film, mate. It's epic. It's got some epic lines.
I'm just on Amazon now, mate. Hang on.
Have-
I'm gonna
have-
see
have
if
a-
I can find it.
Have a little look at that, Germ.
Definitely. Have you thought of a game?
No, I was gonna Google it and pretend that I'd thought of something, but I can't be
Yeah,
bothered.
that's my point, mate. It'll
Yeah.
be a fail.
I
Uncharted.
couldn't be bothered now. All right, I think that story is well and truly wrapped up.
I think so.
All right, should we move on to our next one?
Yes.
All right. Well, since we're talking about films at the moment, Kirk, and I do believe that segment went quite nicely off the rails again.
Yes.
A little bit like. Do you remember the end of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? No, which one is it where they're fighting underground in the mines and he's on the minecart?
Yeah, Temple of Doom,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Temple of Doom, and that was off the rails, mate, just like that.
Shiba. Oh no, Shiba. Oh no, Shiba. Remember that dude in the cage getting lowered into the lava?
Exactly.
What did oh no, Shiba mean?
Oh my god, I've got no idea. But anyway,
Oh,
reining it back in.
You haven't recorded this, have you?
Yes, I have.
Oh
The president of Epic Games, Mike Capps, has got something interesting to say about movies and cheap apps and what they're doing to traditional games. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Mr. Menurcus?
Well, apparently, cheap apps and movies are killing the traditional games, which I think is a bit hypocritical from Epic themselves because they're releasing apps on the iPhone. So, plus,
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean.
yeah. So they're saying that it's bad because it's killing the bigger quality of games, but at the same time they're still releasing their own apps. So.
Mm-hmm. This is a little bit of a theme to all the stories that quite a few of the stories that we've discussed over the last few weeks, and how I interpret it, Kirk, is that we have less and less time for standalone gaming experiences because basically what he says in this article is social games are bite-sized and films are kind of bite-sized in comparison to a traditional standalone £50, £40 video game. And he's saying that people's lives in this day and age, it's more convenient for them to have an iPhone or another type of device like that where they can just pick up and play, whether that be on the way to the office or just traveling generally, or if they get a few minutes when they're not doing something at home. And that seems to be the gist of it. What do you think about that?
I can see his point, because that's the way things are going at the moment. Because everyone's got an iPhone, everyone's got a mobile phone with apps and games on them, and you see a lot of people at bus stops on buses and that, which I can see what he's trying to say because it's easier, isn't it? Than people like you say, you got more time to do things like that than sit down and play on a full game. If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, I can see what he's saying, but I don't know if it's causing damage to the bigger retailers. I don't know.
If we just, I'm just going to read out a little bit of the quote that he said, and hopefully Emperor Bowie will remain in his current location and not visit us through my body.
Okay.
I think the biggest competition for Shadow Complex, which was their game, which was an excellent one, was Netflix, says Caps, referring to the company's first foray into Xbox Live Arcade. He says the title's main problem wasn't the big names of download gaming like Castle Crashers or Limbo. If you fired up your dashboard right there, if you already bought Netflix, for US people obviously, you have tons and tons of awesome content that's bite-sized in 1.5 to 2 hour chunks. So that was our competition. By that same token, he says, if you think about what many people are doing, if you have 30 minutes to game, what am I going to play? That time more and more gets taken up with mobile games. And I think that's, I think that's quite fair.
Yeah, it's quite fair.
I think that's quite fair. Last
What
week,
is Sorry, go on.
Netflix.
What is Netflix?
Netflix is streaming, so it streams films.
Right.
So we've got Love Film here, which you can do a little bit of streaming on the PlayStation 3. I use that service myself. But Netflix in America, they've got more or less everything on it. You know, all your TV shows, all your videos, and you just stream it directly to your Xbox.
Right.
Oh, and it's on every device actually now, even fucking mobile phones. Who would want to watch a film on a mobile phone?
You need a decent pair of glasses, I suppose.
Well, you've got one, so why don't you head over and take your HD, take your HDIs?
I'm like Parker, mate. As soon as I take these glasses off.
Oh, fucking Michael Parker. Film. Oh, I fucked that up. I'm not even going to edit that out. Bollocks. All right, so back on topic. But what happens? What happens to big budget games, Kirk?
What happens to big budget games? Well, I hope they carry on because.
Well, if people stop buying them.
Well, it's not going to happen, is it?
Well, the hardcore certainly will stick with traditional gaming, but is the hardcore enough to finance these games? You know, these tens and tens of millions of dollar games that take a year and a half to 2.5 years to make. I don't know the answer to the question, but
trying to find an answer to that as well. But
yeah, I think it's probably a question a lot of people are thinking about. You know, obviously they're worried. You know, the president of Epic Games is talking about it. He's just one of many at this point.
But like they've brought out like a few games on the apps. I mean, Infinity Blade was brilliant.
Yeah, it's good. I still play that now.
It's brilliant, and
they still update it as well. They put additional content in there not too long ago.
And to be fair as well, it wasn't a cheap 59p one. It was about, I think it was £3.50. I think it might be less than that now. But like you say, they keep updating it, which gives it a bit more replay value. But it was a bit short because all you do is go through the same levels over and over, just on a different bloodline. But
but you know, £3.50 is still a lot less than 50 quid, mate. 40 quid.
Definitely. But
you know,
that's what I was just finding it a bit difficult to see what he was trying to say, because one hand he's saying apps and cheap games are killing the bigger, like you say, the bigger retail games, smaller apps. But at the same time, on the other hand, he's releasing these apps that are doing the damage. So I can't really see what he's trying to play at all.
Yeah,
like that's my only gripe with this situation.
Mate, I'm looking at our show notes and it says a high level play and one other person is viewing it. So there's a third person here looking at the show notes somewhere.
Is there?
That's interesting. Let me have a look. You've got it open in 2 windows.
It's me.
Oh, I'm gonna chop that and put that in the.
Do we think there's someone stalking us?
I thought there was someone. I thought there was a third person watching it. I was like, what?
See, I told you I'm shit at computers, man.
It's okay, don't worry. All right, we're gonna jump onto our next story. And in what is completely the opposite, Mr. Kirkus, of bite-sized chunks of games, Bioware has come out and said, "The Old Republic to last for decades."
You couldn't help yourself, could you? There, man.
I found a perfect use for him.
You have. You should have put this at the beginning.
So the Old Republic, the MMO from Bioware, which has, if reports are anything to go by, had so much money pumped into it. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Really?
They're planning for this game to last for decades, for tens of
Jeez.
years. I don't think I've ever heard any developer make a claim quite like this one.
So how do you think that'll work if there's new like generation of console come out? Are they just gonna bring it out on the next one if there's another DLC or?
Well, this is only on PC at the moment.
Right. Okay, I get you. I
So
thought
that's
you
the
meant it was-
thing. So this is, this obviously they're hoping for this to be the competition to World of Warcraft, which
Right.
dominates the scene now. If we just have a little look at the content of the story here, and this is a story from VG247.com. So thank you, VG247. BioWare said over the weekend that it intends to have Star Wars: The Old Republic to keep going for decades. The fact it has 19 worlds, as pointed out. So it's been pointed out that it has 19 worlds at the moment. I can say that we have 19 major worlds. Then we have an indeterminate number of minor worlds, he said. And our goal, obviously this being an online game, that we're hoping is going to last for decades. We're going to be obviously adding more to the galaxy map as the game progresses. We want to add dozens of worlds, hundreds of worlds eventually. In 2025, we'll hopefully have 500 worlds. So 19 worlds now, Kirk, when the game ships, and
Yeah.
they hope to have 500 at some point.
Right. So when's this game out?
It's out the end of this year, so Christmas this
Right.
year.
And it's going to be extending till 2025.
2025 at least.
That is crazy.
I can't see it. I can't
I
see
can't
it.
see it.
I can't.
But doesn't all that depend on how popular the game sells?
Sure. Well, they're just closing down the previous, or they've just closed down the previous Star Wars MMO, Star Wars Galaxies, which was not as successful as they might have hoped.
Right.
So
So this could go down the same road then, really.
this could do. I mean, I don't hope failure on anyone apart from you, but
I suppose.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't understand. I don't understand how you have an infrastructure that has a project this big and keep it going. Do you know what I mean?
It must take a lot of resources,
Like,
definitely.
what about when all the people leave and stuff? Like, I don't know. It seems a bit too much in my little head. But
So in 25 years from now, will it be the same graphics to what it was back now? Do you reckon, or
no,
will they have
I think
to
they
update?
overhauled. I think they overhauled it. They've done something similar with World of Warcraft. Actually, they've overhauled the graphics at least once on that game.
Right, because I'm not obviously too familiar with the PC world. I'm sorry, but
That's okay.
this 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 is interesting, though, isn't it? To think that they're actually going to go ahead with this project till 2025. It's
Yeah.
ambitious.
They're hoping to. I mean, the trick graphically with these MMOs, as I understand it, is to have them have like an interesting art style, but not something that's actually too taxing on the actual PCs themselves.
Right,
Because the better the graphics are, the less PCs that can play that game, the less subscribers you can have playing the game.
makes
So
sense.
yeah, you can play World of Warcraft on a reasonably low end rig. So
Right,
one of the interesting things they did in one of the recent World of Warcraft expansions is they completely redid all of the environments, all of the areas, and they did it in such a way, and I still have trouble getting my head around this, so that if two players are in different phases of quests or different levels of character, they will actually see different things standing next to each other looking at the same thing, if that makes sense.
it hurt my head a little bit. But
So
carry on.
let's say character A, let's say D Dog, yeah, Two Dog
Yeah,
is in the middle of a quest, and at some point during that quest, a village has been burnt down, and
yeah,
I've gone to find the people who burnt down the village, and there's a person B, Kirkus, he hasn't started that quest yet. So if we're both standing looking at that village, I will
right.
see it all destroyed and broken and busted, and you will just see it as normal.
No way.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That's quite cool.
That's pretty crazy, isn't it?
That is nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Didn't they introduce water as well to that latest update?
Yeah, they had
Or
some water races or something like that.
or am I a bit behind there?
No, I think that was the most recent update.
Water.
Hmm.
Which you'd have thought had been in it from the start. I thought, but
Well, You used to be able to do this thing in Star Wars Galaxies, the one that just got cancelled before this one, where
Did you play that?
I didn't, but my mate played it, and
Yeah.
I saw some videos actually. I saw some cool as fuck videos where so you could play Jedi or bounty hunters or some
Cool.
other races as well, but most people went for Jedis or bounty hunters. And if you were a bounty hunter, you could have the location of one Jedi and you could track him. And this one bounty hunter tracked this Jedi to this one place, and then he put out a call across the network, and loads of bounty hunters came, and the Jedi he fucked them all. He fucked
No way.
all up. He must have killed about 25 Jedi, bounty hunters. The video
Cool.
was epic.
Ace.
But you could, those games are broken as well, like all open world games are. You could do this thing where if you were a Jedi getting hunted by bounty hunters, you could go and stand in the lake, and they couldn't get in the lake, so you just stood in the lake until your backup arrived.
Or until the other guys get bored of waiting.
Yeah, or that, and then you could just log out.
Log out.
Yeah, so they have their own problems, but I'll be interested to see how the Old Republic does.
I think it could be quite addictive, and I've got quite an addictive personality. If I got onto those World of Warcraft or this kind of game, I think I'd be stuck on it.
Yeah,
I think I'd lose my job, my house.
it happens, mate. It happens.
Yeah, I bet it does.
There's also another really, really hilarious video. Maybe I'll put some links up.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Mate, you've got it open in another window as well. So now there's 4 people looking at
I don't know how.
the show notes, but that's fine. There's another video where this girl goes to her boyfriend's computer when he goes out for a fag break and deletes all of his World of Warcraft characters.
Does she know what she's doing? Or
Yeah, she does. Yeah. And she goes like, she's going like, this is for the time he didn't take me to dinner, and this is for the time. And he comes back in, and just watching his reaction as first, as first he thinks it's like a technical fault.
Oh, does she film it secretly? Like?
Yeah, she secretly films it. And first he thinks it's a technical fault, and he's like looking, and he's like typing, and he's getting a bit mad. And then when he realizes all the characters are gone, he smashes his computer up.
No.
Yes.
That's a bit sad, man.
It's a bit much, isn't it?
It is a bit.
Yeah, she's deleting him. She goes, that's his level 42 mage. I know he really likes that one. Delete.
Jeez.
What a sweet girlfriend, eh?
I bet she didn't last very long.
Yeah, well, I would have got out a play when I put that YouTube video up.
Sounds cool.
All right, we've got some few other news items here, but I think we should just get on. I don't want to overstay my time in the Emperor's domain. You never know how many times he might visit us.
That's it.
So I think we'll take a short intermission. I'll put some music up from the Free Sound Project, details of which can be found on the actual podcast itself if you just scroll down on your iPods or Zune. And then when we come back, we will have a little talk about what we've been playing. Sound good?
Sounds good to me, mate.
All right. See you in a few minutes.
Express the same things, but with different words. We acknowledge the same curve, and those might have hurt. Just like the last line you draw to remind a past time, a fast-minded feeling of freedom, please to be recognized. And I can hear your doctors calling from here to say.
All right, welcome back, all. It's at this part in our show, in the Playcast, as we've lovingly called it, that we discuss what we've been playing. Kirk, I think you have probably done a little bit more new playing than me this week. I've finished up some stuff which I'll talk about in due course. But why don't you tell us about what you've been playing this week?
I've been playing Call of Juarez, I think it's pronounced. Or Juarez or something. I can't pronounce it. Anyway, it's
Juandolio, the legend.
Juandolio. But I should have played the. I think it's the third game in the series. I should have played the first two. But apparently, the first two are set in the old Western times, a bit like Red Dead, but it's been brought up to date in like modern times with cars and whatever, instead of horses, and it's a pretty crappy game, really. To be fair, they've tried to copy like Left 4 Dead, like cooperative, but instead of 4, obviously it's 3. But there's a few nice touches they should have done a bit better, but it was just the graphics are dated, very buggy. It keeps Oh, it's terrible. You know, like the faces and that, the way they're talking and the eyes don't. Anyway, this is terrible. But there's some nice touch. I can point out. There's like, because each one of them is supposed to be police officers. They're a bit corrupt. So
As
if you're
police officers tend to be occasionally.
if you're doing it cooperatively online, trying to do a mission, if you spot like a mobile phone, you can actually pinch it to get more XP. But what else you got to be careful of is if the other two aren't watching you, so you get more points for getting it undetected.
Yeah.
And if you get detected, you obviously lose points, which is alright. It's a bit of a pointless thing to put in there, but I just found it very buggy and not much replay value at all. I'd probably wouldn't be playing it again.
I saw it on your I saw it on your playing online, looking at the friends on the Xbox, and for a second I thought it was Call of Duty, like with a J instead of D. I thought Call of Duty as pronounced by a Cockney man.
I brought it from the market on the weekend,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, like Redock. I knew someone had a pair of Redock when I was younger.
Did you?
Yeah, Redock. Yeah, and a pair of mics. Mics instead of Nikes. But yeah, I saw it on there. I did raise my eyebrow a little bit, and I was thinking, what shit is Kirkus playing today?
I do try and get a few games I haven't played before. And it was new out last Friday. It was
Okay, because I did also think it was kind of a wiki wild wild west type thing, but obviously because the first two were.
Yeah, but this one is up to date with like cars. Obviously, it's LAPD and
no horses then.
No, it's all about drug cartels and things. It's just a bit of a pointless game, really. Very, very stupid. A lot of people are saying they should have just stuck to what they did in the first two and have it in Western times instead of bringing it forward.
It's kind of the levering of of an IP, of a brand to try and get more people in, isn't it? It's easier to slap that name onto an existing game than develop something completely new and get it off the ground, I guess.
But apparently I think that was the more of a draw to the first two, is that it was in old Western times. I mean, I think the more modern day shooters are it's a bit saturated, that market, isn't it? Modern day shooters, it's all set in either New York or some urban setting, but you've only got like Red Dead and Call of Juarez. I bet everyone's laughing at me if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Juan Dolio.
The
Legend of Love.
Yeah. But I'd probably, if I was to give it a marks out of 10, I'd probably give it about a 2.
Okay, if you had to give it out of 5,
I'd give it a 1.
A 1 out of 5. I'm finding myself leaning towards the 5-star rating system, like over the 10, because the 5-star rating system kind of makes you have to make a decision. Whereas with the 10-star, you can kind of get away with making a bit of a fake decision. Do you know what I mean? Like a 7, but 5-star, it's either 2 stars or 3 stars. You have to call it. You have to make that decision for an average game.
I'll give it a 1.
You give it a 1 out of 5.
But the only thing I can say, another little positive out of it, that the achievements are easy to unlock. So that's the only reason I started playing it.
Yeah.
After the first 15 minutes I was bored, but I thought, I've looked through the achievement list and they were easy, so I thought, I'll just do a bit of score whoring.
No doubt.
That's what I did.
Yeah, no doubt. They, I might be cynical here, but I think a lot of people put that on purpose. A lot of developers just so word gets around. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you can get all of those points in about 30 seconds.
Crazy.
It's been a top rental for quite a lot of people for quite some time.
I bet it has.
Okay, so no good then. Avoid it.
No. Avoid it, guys. Don't even try it.
Kirkus's official stamp of approval there.
I rented it and I'm glad I did. I say that every week, don't I? I can't think of a game that I've actually brought that I liked.
Apart from Deadly Premonition.
Oh man, God, I'm glad I didn't buy that.
Oh, you cheeky beggar. You absolute toff.
You still owe me a $5 for that.
Pish posh.
Terrible. I might set up a PayPal so you can give me that £5.
Nice, I like it. If you can get PayPal working, mate, I'll put some money. All right, take that as a challenge if you want.
So, what have you been finishing off then, mate?
So I wrapped up Shadows of the Damned.
Ooh.
And I didn't have quite the twist ending that I thought it was going to have. Still enjoyed it, but just coming back to the main headlines that we discussed last week, it is inventive and it is clever, and I do like clever from juvenile perspective. It's clever juvenilism, I guess.
Done badly, though, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't done badly. Bad points. It is pretty linear. It is pretty short, and the environments, they're not very memorable, to be honest. I think if I was rating it now, Kirk, I probably would have given it a 4 out of 5 previously, but now I've finished it, I've probably bumped that to a 3, I think.
Would you really?
Yeah, it's outstayed its welcome, I think, as short as it was. Interesting experience, but I think they could have done something. They could have done something a bit more of that, to be honest.
Did I say something in last week's about this game, about the achievement where you have to? Because I say I completed it on medium.
Yeah, yeah, they're not stacked. We did touch upon that.
Did we mention that last week?
Yeah, that's no good. I don't know how you design achievements and have them unstacked.
Did you notice that?
I did. Yeah, I was waiting for all the pops at the end, but
no,
it was not to be.
Not to be, mate. They've done that wrong. Because I don't think probably that gives it a little bit more replay value, but I can't. It's a good enough game, but like there's not enough replay value in that game.
Another one of the things that they really missed, which is confusing quite a lot of people in the community, is there's no new game plus option. So do you know when you finish a lot of these games where they have upgrade systems like this, you get the opportunity to play through it again.
Yeah.
Like, and pull your character across with the existing weaponry he's got, and maybe switch up the gameplay a little bit, make it a little bit more different. But
yeah,
no new game plus option, you know. And that's for a game that's a single player game. I think at this point you have to be thinking very carefully about how you get players to come back.
And also picking up on the point which you said before, is the guy from Resident Evil series was involved in this game.
Exactly.
He brought in like Mr. Tofu in Resident Evil 2, the replay value.
Yeah, exactly. There was loads of replay value in the Resident Evil games, especially. So
you'd have thought he'd have been.
You would have thought.
Never mind.
Yeah, I think his involvement in the game was probably overshadowed by Suda51, the crazy dude. But that might be a conversation for another day.
Yep.
All right. Portal 2. You were getting on with that last time.
Yeah, I don't think I've played much more after we last spoke. To be honest, yeah, I had to take that back. But all in all, I thought it was a good game. It really was a good game.
You came away with some favourable impressions.
Yeah, I did. A bit difficult, and it wasn't too good with a hangover, like we said. But
yeah,
it's definitely brought some good thoughts to mind. Really good.
Yeah, I do think fondly of that game, particularly the writing and the characters and stuff. I really, really like Stephen Merchant as Wheatley. I thought that was very, very clever.
Oh, it's funny.
I don't know if you got towards the end of the game, but he started designing the test chambers because they ran out of test chambers that GLaDOS had invented, and some of the stuff he comes up with is absolutely ridiculous.
Ace.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It might be worth actually YouTubing at some point.
I might just do that, man.
Yeah.
Definitely. Anything else you've been playing, mate, or wrapped up?
I also completed Child of Eden.
Oh dear.
Which it's not a very long game, but I found that I kept having to have breaks because it's very, very intense. You play that for 15-20 minutes, and then you need to go and have a quiet sob in the corner to yourself.
Rocking back and forth.
Yeah, try and wait for your eyes to readjust to the normal planes of reality. So yeah, I beat it. I rescued Internet Girl. The game's got some very, very interesting stuff going on. It's probably worth a rent for you, Kirk, if
I might just do that, man.
If you feel so inclined. Some very different environments, which I do like. So each environment was significantly different from the last. Some very, very good music. And some collectibles to collect as well, so I might go back and have another little bash at that. But
so there's some replay value in it.
Yeah, some replay value in it, definitely some replay value. And it's got leaderboards as well. So for each stage you beat, you get marked, you get a rank, so you get either 1 star or up to 5 stars. So you can compare yourself against your friends if you have any.
Well,
and see how you're doing.
Cool. So what star did you give that last week? Do you remember?
I think I gave it a 7.
7. See, you're teetering on the fence.
See, this is why you can't use 10, because it's too easy to sit on the fence. So I'll say 3. I'll say that's a 3-star game.
3. Okay.
It may have been a 4 at some point, but that was not to be.
It looks a bit peculiar game, really. I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but I might give it a rent.
Yeah, can't go wrong for a 5.
Well, I heard that before,
I
man. I've never
will,
been
I
so
will
disappointed in my life.
assure you that there's a reasonably good chance that Francis York Morgan is not in this game.
No.
Okay, I will. He's probably not in Child of Eden, but
No.
you can't tell me off if he is.
No. But I've also got a DVD which you've asked me to watch as well, which I've brought, and I haven't watched it yet, so you might be owing me a lot more money.
Oh, which one was that?
You told me to buy Mulholland Drive.
Oh yeah, yeah. You haven't watched that yet.
I haven't watched it yet because after playing that game you suggested me to play,
Mm.
I'm actually trying to find the receipt.
You're gonna either adore Mulholland Drive or you're gonna think it's the worst piece of shit since I don't know Sesame Street.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yes, you will be. Cookie, cookie.
So,
Hey, bro.
excuse me. So what will you be playing in the next, well, during this week or in the near future?
Well, I've got Alice Madness Returns, which I kind of had a little play with when I bought it, but it didn't grab me as much as I hoped it might. But there are a couple of things actually. Front Dust is out tomorrow, isn't it?
Can't wait. I've been waiting
Yeah.
for this title for a few months now since
You
I
you
first.
you turned me on to that.
Yeah,
So-
it's got to be worth a buy. It looks brilliant.
It's 1200, is it?
Yep.
All right, I might give that a look. I've got some points in the system anyway, so I might have a little look at that. I think Catherine is out as well now.
That's another Xbox Live game, isn't it?
No, Catherine's a retail game.
Oh, I'm getting mixed up. There's another game that's coming out soon on the Xbox called Amy.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh.
It's a bit like Silent Hill, I think, but you gotta guide this girl through levels or something. I only briefly read up on it, so that's why I was getting mixed up. Two female names. That's why.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Well, I might have a look at Amy and see what it's like. Catherine, on the other hand, is made by Atlas, published by Atlas, the guys who make the Persona games. You know, those Japanese RPGs.
Yeah.
And it's a game that's been come over from Japan and translated and localized and stuff. And it's like a romance simulation with a puzzle game inside it.
Cool.
So there's these really, really lush cutscenes, like anime style cutscenes, where you play this guy who's falling in love with this woman Catherine, and the more he falls in love, the bizarrer the dreams he has become. And when you go into Dreamland, that's when the gameplay starts, and you have to climb up these ever-changing series of blocks. So it's kind of like a puzzle game in a certain respect. You have to pull and push the blocks around, and then climb up them before the creatures at the bottom of the screen get to you. So the screen is slowly rising, and you have to make sure that you're climbing faster than the screen's rising. So
is that a retail game or a
that will be
arcade?
a retail game, and I think that's out today. I think it's out today.
Right.
So that may not be entirely true, but yeah, that's definitely one that I've got on my radar.
Mm.
I think there's another one
Definitely the one that needs mentioning.
that you turned me on to.
Is Dead Island. I am so looking forward to this title. Looking forward.
It looks kind of crazy.
It looks amazing.
It looks kind of crazy. I mean, that trailer obviously is cinematic, but it really does a good job of setting the scene for what's going on there. It's actually I actually find it quite moving watching that, which I don't often get. And I think I mentioned to you as well that the bulk of the trailer is a girl getting chased, and it's kind of the way they've done it is quite clever. There's lots of backwards and forwards stuff, and you always have to be really careful when you involve children in any of that type of stuff, because it's very, very easy to just step into bad taste, and once you do that, you've completely lost your audience. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I thought they transitioned that particular problem quite well, actually, and they stayed right on the side of moving and troubling, but not stepping into bad taste at all.
Definitely. So it's a game, isn't it? More or less like Borderlands, but with zombies.
Yeah, it looks like a cross between Borderlands and Left 4 Dead, to be honest.
Definitely.
Yeah. The footage I saw was only one player playing, but apparently you can have up to 4 people.
And it's drop in, drop out as well, which sounds cool as well.
Yeah, there's no excuse not to be in this day and age, but
No.
that doesn't mean that every game is.
Yeah, so that's definitely worth purchase, that one.
And it's got vehicle sections, and it looks like a lot more of an expansive game than Left 4 Dead. So kind of like Borderlands. I guess you're right. That might be a closer comparison actually. But
That'd be quite cool thinking about it, because you could be like driving. I could jump out and blow the car up as you go down the road.
you could do that. You could, in fact, you could exactly do that.
Just like the olden days with Left 4 Dead, when we used to try and
Oh gosh.
drop
Oh
you
gosh.
and jump in the helicopter and leave you on top of the No Mercy Hospital.
Fucker.
Oh man, that was funny.
And I got you back by giving you Deadly Premonition. So
You did. Well, at least I didn't target your wallet. You did it quite badly with me.
I think I've made my point
You did.
completely clear.
Definitely.
I wonder how they're going to manage Kirk, because the problem with Borderlands was that you had to go into someone's game, and there was a lot of issues around what level you were versus what level the other person was, and where they were on the actual world maps. And I know a lot of people had, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters on the go at one time that were various different levels.
Yeah.
So they knew that they could, at any point they could jump in with, one of their friends who might have just got the game, or another one of their friends who'd been playing it for quite some time. So if so, it's not entirely clear actually from looking at the game if there's persistent upgrade paths.
But they haven't given much away, really, have they? They've been quite tight-lipped about the the cooperative part of it. But
Yeah, there certainly is loot, but whether that actually translates into persistent upgrades, so that a character might be a different level significantly to another character, it doesn't appear to me to be exactly clear.
another thing I've read a lot about is that the fact that there is guns in it, but very, very few. They try to take the focus away from guns. It's more or less trying to find anything you can use to get through the island. You can use like paddles. But I think they've stolen little ideas from Dead Rising, where you can modify your weaponry and make them a bit more lethal. But
Well, let's hope they haven't borrowed the save system from Dead Rising,
oh no, I hope not to.
because that was quite peculiar indeed.
That was broken.
It kind of heightens the tension, isn't it? Having to resort to melee weapons in sort of homemade stuff. So
That's how zombie games should be, I think.
I can see that. I can definitely see
Up
that.
close and personal.
Exactly. Get the brains out.
Smear it.
I want. Hang on. That's going a bit far. I want the brains smeared in my face.
Oh god.
Yeah. So those are the biggies for me.
Yeah, I think so too. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be playing From Dust. Can't wait, and I'll be able to tell you guys what it's like next week.
Good stuff. Well, I'm off work, so I might have a look at that in the morning. I'm
You
waiting
may
for
as well.
waiting for some workmen to turn up actually to do some work on the house, but hopefully I won't be disturbed.
Nope.
All right, I think with that, Kurt, we're about ready to sign off. What do you think?
I think so, mate.
All right. Well, it was been nice speaking to you, mate, as usual.
Same with you, man.
We'll pick up next week and let everyone know who we are.
Definitely.
All right, cool. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, I wanted to tell you about my big idea.
I want to hear your big idea. You're being suspiciously quiet about your big idea.
It's just came to me as I was working today. I thought,
Oh, you do realise I'm recording this, don't you?
oh, you haven't recorded.
Mate, there is outtakes galore.
Idea.
I like it. It's a good idea.
Cheers, man. That was my big.
All right. Should we attempt to do this in a manner
Right.
which is... What are you doing? Get out of it.
Start the podcast.
Oh, the podcast has started. Thank you very much.
Let's start.
No.
Let's start.
All right. You read the first news item.
Go on, you start. It's your
That's not the news item. Can I have a cup of tea, please? Thank you. Cheeky bitch.
You scared her off.
Yeah. Call that bluff.
But it's gonna tell her to read out the first item.
Yeah, exactly. That's going in the outtakes as well.
Cool.
All right, so we'll start with Freddy Kreuger in Mortal Kombat DLC, and we'll try and do this in a manner which is not of two drunkards on a Sunday morning who can barely string a sentence together. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. We might as well just hit it from the top again. Ready?
Ready when you are.
All right, 3. Hang on, let me just make sure this is recording.
Have a go.
That went off the rails, mate. I don't know if people were going to react to good or badly to like me just fucking interrupting the story to do an Emperor impression. What do you think?
You had to get it in sometime, didn't you?
I was thinking, when is a meaningful time for me to fucking get that in there? And there was none, so I just
squeezed it in.
I just squeezed it in.
Takes doors.
Yeah.
Shut and locked her in the bedroom. Yeah.
Oh no. What was the damage when you got back?
Just bed sheets all over the floor, hair all over the mattress. I hate that. You see, I hate dogs being in bedrooms and that. So.
I hope you don't have too much experience of dogs being in bedrooms, if I'm completely honest. But
as long as you're not recording, I can't say much about it, man.
I'm gonna let you listen to the outtakes with a sense of trepidation this week, Kirkus, I think. Okay, should we jump on with what you've been playing?
I'm trying to think of what I've been playing.
So you can talk about Call of Juarez. You can tell us a bit about that.
Okay, I'll tell you one. That's the only game I've been playing that's new, anyway.
All right, so you can spend some time on it.
Okay.